morning, everyone. It is Friday. It's been a long week. First and foremost, some people commented on the Monday video, some suggestions. I appreciate that. I try to read every single comment. Thank you on that. Before I forget, please like, share, subscribe, comment, do anything with the channel because it helps push it. And I can see that the last week it has been going upward, so thank you on that. Everyone in Florida this week, in North Carolina, you guys have been in our thoughts and prayers too. I just wanted to mention that, not oversee that. My aunt lives in Florida. She's more so in the middle, so she should be fine. Might get some flooding, but you know, everybody's been in our thoughts and prayers. Got a bunch of stuff in this video. Actually have the Del Sol project, so if you watched last video, you saw that. We have a little update on the Accord as well. So in the last video you saw the misfire issue with that Accord, so just something a little bit small. Now we had a 9th gen supercharged Civic. I don't think you're gonna see all the content this week on that vehicle, just because I have too much footage, which is a good thing. But nonetheless, there's a bunch of stuff in this video that I think you guys will like, and I kind of got a rhythm going here where you got to watch the last video to see what we're talking about in this video. In a sense, you could still pick up. There's some little stuff here and there too that I throw out there still for you know, educational purposes. But besides that, let's get down to business. Hopefully you enjoy. So we're gonna jump right in. Now this video, or I'm sorry, this car, you saw it on the last video. What I was going to do is have some clips of it, explain what was going on, and explain the issue. The clips I already have of it, well, I have way too many clips for this week's episode. And at the beginning of this week, we didn't know what was wrong with it. We believe now we know what is wrong with it. So this car, if you've been following the videos, you're going to see the whole rundown of it next video. I want to have, you know, the conclusion to what was going on in a sense. So this one will not be in this video, but stay tuned for the next video and you'll see it. Let's go on to another car, though, that was just here on the dyno, with a white Accord that was having some misfire issues on the dyno. So going back off of last week's video, the white Accord that was having the misfire issues on the dyno, the customer sent us a message. He said that he picked up the injectors himself, or he ordered them, and he wanted to set up an appointment to get them done. Now, originally, he said he couldn't find them, and then he wanted us to order them, and then over the weekend, it sounded like he got them. So I asked him, and I will throw out there really quickly, I don't mind people bringing their own parts, but we want to make sure they're good. He said that he ordered brand new OEM injectors. I asked him, you know, where were they from? He stated eBay, which is a red flag, and I explained why. eBay and Amazon can sell you an injector as an OEM style, or OEM, or however they want to label it. Doesn't always mean it's OEM. Well, these injectors right here are brand new. And the first red flag is going to be $61.99 for these injectors. Now, the one thing that I noticed, and I sent this all to him as well, because I don't want to see anybody getting taken advantage of. They say new. Doesn't have the best, you know, ratings, but I sent him this picture and I circled the area, which that looks like a crack. It's going to be hard in the actual video to pick up the scratches you're seeing here, but let's go through the pictures really, really quickly. The other thing that was kind of a red flag, like, see, there's a fair amount of scratches there, and you could just say that's during the handling, that, you know, or whatever, that's fine. But let's see here. Let's see what other picture raised the red flag. Okay, now those appear like normal in a sense. So that little cushion, you can see actually that the tear might be there, but The thing that worries me, of course, is going to be the price. The other picture I'm looking for, this injector right here, this little area, let me go back, doesn't seem like the others. So that kind of just raises, the red flag. And then on top of that, let me find the one picture I sent him from this auction. I want to exactly show you. So it might be even hard to see here too, but so this little area, I don't like how that sits compared to the other stuff. And then this right here, so normally this is going to be a white mark. And the more that these are handled, the more dirt you're going to get, which I don't know if you're going to be able to pick it up, and I'll try to get the angle, but you can kind of see how it's dirty. And keeping in mind, once again, the price, it's $61.99, and it's for all 4 of them. Now, let me just go on really quick Honda's website and get you the price and show you, or a dealership website, I should say. Now, here's some on the Honda website, and the only thing that's throwing me for a loop is I'm fairly certain his car was a 1.5. You see the 2.0 listed, and then I'm assuming these are for the 1.5, but those are discontinued. But you get an idea on the price. So even if that little O-ring slice is normal, and I don't, with something like this job, I'm not installing the injectors on cars like this. The techs are here. Ultimately, that little tear might be normal because you could see it here in the other ones, but at the same time, the price is the big red flag. And yes, it does have the same part number. This is saying they're new, but I mean, there's indications that they're not new. And the problem more so is you're taking the guy's word. He's got I didn't look at the rating, but it's 91.7. And then I will also add, though, I just did a really, really quick search on Google that if the 1.5 and the 2.0 injectors are interchangeable. It did tell me yes, but I'd have to look into a little bit deeper to see if they work. I don't know specifically on that car. Once again, too, Honda's got a bunch of recalls on these cars. If, you're having issues, the dealership's been taking care of it more so. What I'm getting at, though, is it's in a situation like this when you're having an issue and you buy parts that are supposed to be brand new, but they don't look new to me. Not only, even if they look new, the price is kind of a red flag, and it's best offer. So then you're putting something in that you don't truly know the condition, and if the problem doesn't go away, then you're asking yourself, well, did the problem not go away because I put in another set of bad injectors in a sense? I mean, it's you got to really be solid. This is why, too, we did tell them specifically we want them to be OEM. They should be in the part number. And, like I said, even if there was no pictures, that $61.99 is a big, big red flag. And, I'm sure if I go on eBay really quickly and I look for more of these injectors, I'm not going to find a set for that cheap. But let me see if I can actually pull it up. You can see a bunch more too. These prices just worry me. That's all I can say. You got some for 124. You got some for 69. When you see the best price and new. And with the counterfeits that are going around, it's very easy to counterfeit a sticker. It's very easy to not, know what you're getting. And this is the same thing too, what I tell people that are, in the RDX injectors category. Unless you're walking into a Honda dealership, it is very hard to tell. And I'll say this, I've seen reputable companies selling counterfeit stuff. Either those companies don't even know it themselves, or they, kind of play dumb and state they don't know. But, at the end, as a vendor, you can tell on the cost, and where you're getting the stuff from as well. Some people, they care about the money more so. And I'm talking about other companies, vendors more so, people that are in this line of business selling you parts. Some people are just out to make a quick buck. And I don't run my business that way. So just a little something that I'm trying to show you guys too. That goes on during a work day. We don't mind offering the help to our clients. Now, if we've never heard from you before, like I said, it's a different story, because at the end of the day, we were talking about last video about the dyno time and respecting time and whatnot, which, I'll get into too. Either I've got to figure out where all these videos are going to land, but that's it. So here's an Accord that came in for a bunch of little random work. Customer built the engine himself. We had to do stuff such as the intake goes. And to give you an idea too how much I move around in a sense, our fab guys are busy as it is. So when we get a car that comes in like this and we get more fab work, even though it doesn't seem like that big of a job in a sense, I am asked at times, hey, can you lend a hand welding? It's just how we work here. Other people are on certain things and don't want to pull them off. This one right now, though, as we are going to start it, so we're going to do initial start over here, and then we're going to break in the engine on the dyno. We found an empty K-tuner box in his car, but we actually can't find the device. So we're actually searching for that right now. And once we find that, I'm going to get inside the vehicle, show you guys what I'm going to do on my side, while somebody also stands out here and is going to check for any type of leaks, any type of weird noises we hear. And if we hear anything odd, well, we're going to shut it off and kill it instantly. So we're currently in the car that we're going to do the first startup on, the Accord. Now, as I said, we're going to do a first startup over here and make sure everything looks good. We're going to monitor certain things that I monitor for first startup. Basic stuff. You should, if you don't have an oil pressure gauge, you should really have one in a sense. Whenever you're building an engine, I've seen brand new OEM Honda oil pumps fail out the box. There's also instructions that I have for the tech outside right now that he needs to do besides checking for any major leaks. It's going to get very quiet in here, so if you can hear, we have somebody grinding right now. We're going to stop that. We're going to turn off our compressors because we want to hear any kind of weird noises. And me and the tech, I'm going to be staring at him. I'm going to be looking at this stuff. If the car needs to be shut off for whatever reason, we're going to shut it off instantly. And pretty much go from there. Now, I do also see he does have a gauge in here. So if it is an oil pressure gauge, I'm going to locate where we have it. Right now, we're just currently doing an upload on the ECU. So there you go. It is all done. So I'm going to take care of that. During the first startup, my main focus is going to be on the vehicle itself, so I am not going to get a video of the actual main startup, but I will be back. One other thing I noticed before the first startup is that fuel gauge. It is low, and seeing how this guy rebuilt his engine himself, I can only assume that the car sat for a little bit. So if we don't get what we need on this startup in a sense where it doesn't want to, we're not going to keep cranking it. We're going to throw some fresh fuel in there. The setup in a sense, it's nothing crazy as you saw it there, so it should want to just fire up and idle, but we'll see. But that is something else too to take in consideration. We don't know how long the car sat. We don't know how long this gas sat. So it's just something that I'm gonna make a mental note, and if I feel like it's cranking for longer than it should and doesn't want to catch, and or of course if it's not running like it should, we're gonna kill it instantly, shut it off, and throw some fresh fuel in it. So we'll see what we get. So when we go to crank it, it would start briefly, but then it would die out. Threw a little bit of starting fluid in there, same thing. What we did notice though is on the fuel pressure gauge, only builds fuel pressure up to about 20 to 25 psi. When you go to start it, it goes to about, I want to say 30, but it instantly drops. So we're gonna pull the fuel pump, see how everything looks, but the tech did stop and come and get me because we noticed that the whole unit is just loose in there. So the ring to tighten it didn't seem to catch when whoever installed it previously before getting here. So we're gonna take this thing out, see what we find. So wrapping up for the day. Now, of course, if you can't tell, I am at home. I am still I got a bunch of messages I still need to get back to. I got some e-tunes I got to get back to as well. I have one specific message from a guy that has been watching our channel for a while. I see his comments. I see him on Facebook, recommending us as well. Haven't gotten back to him yet because his little comment that he left in messages more so was very nice and heartful, and I want to write something back meaningful. I will say, Jonathan, thank you for that. That means a lot. I am a business owner that's involved in everything here in a sense. I'm trying to figure out, as I said before, I'm not a YouTuber, so I'm trying to figure out the whole rhythm, what I should kind of be covering, what I shouldn't be covering. I'm not going to try to go day by day and say, hey, today's Monday, today's Tuesday. Monday's a very hectic day, so I figured I'd show you guys. Case in point, it's after hours. I needed to come home for family stuff, but I'm home, still doing business stuff. I will add too, stuff you don't see, and I'm already reading the comments on YouTube from our other video. Everybody that has recommendations, I take that highly. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't watch a bunch of YouTube stuff. So, in that, the insight I'm getting, I listen to. With that being said too, I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody. Somebody was commenting on the last video about, I think it was about the dyno stuff and how we do deposits and all that. It just comes down today. I had a meeting with a customer. The meeting was scheduled for more than a couple days now. He's out of state. He said he was coming in state. 20 minutes prior to the meeting, or around the time he was supposed to be here, he just said he couldn't make it. He wasn't feeling good. I understand that, but also have to consider I took the time out of my lunch to have a meeting with him, and 20 minutes prior to lunch, well, he let me know. So I worked through lunch. I ended up having a lunch where I was walking around more so and helping people and eating while I'm standing. It is what it is. I'm not complaining. I'm not trying to play that, to feel bad for me. It's part of being a business owner. On top of that too, stuff you don't see, we have a whole team here. That's the big thing that I try to make sure people know, because we do have a bunch of people that come in and, they see me on YouTube. They immediately want to talk to me, or they immediately want to ask me stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm more than willing to help. But I have a team to help me help you guys. One thing too, just something little. One of our guys here at work brought up that we can get some discounts on tires. More so sales. We deal with Tire Rack. So not only can we meet their prices, we sometimes fall a little bit below. But right now, Tire Rack's having some good promotions that we can toss to you guys. Or I know some shops will pocket it in a sense. But, case in point, I was asked, can we run some of these sales? So I'm looking that over today after hours. You see Firestone, and yes, it will be backwards. Firestone's having a sale right now. Everybody's preparing for the wintertime, colder weather. So some other companies in here are having, Goodyear. So I'm going to review it. If I give them the, green light, let's do it. By the time this video is already posted, you're going to probably go, if you go on our Instagram or Facebook, that stuff's already going to probably be on there. So a lot of stuff as a whole. I am trying my best to kind of figure out the YouTube stuff, but I appreciate everybody commenting too. As I said, any insights I can get. I'm not a professional YouTuber, so why not get other opinions and whatnot? So next time I'll see you, we'll be on Tuesday. So we got the fuel pump out right now. It wasn't fitting like it should be, so we're making it fit how it should be, and going to reinstall it and see if we have some more success with this vehicle. Okay, so we got it running. We shut it off because it started to idle surge. It's throwing a check engine light. I'll be back with you really quick to let you know on that check engine light. We also found out that, and I don't know if you're going to see it, I got my flash on, but let me see if I can get back here. There you go. Now, I'm not going to say what's wrong. I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to figure it out. Did you figure it out? The clutch master is upside down. So here's one of the codes that it's throwing, a U0107 code. And if you think I know what this code is off the top of my head, well, just like you guys maybe on the other end have to do a little research, that's the same thing that happens here. I told the tech that I would look into it a little bit because I have to take care of some business on the computer anyway. So the big thing that is worrying me more so is he does have an aftermarket throttle body. And when it comes to drive-by-wire throttle bodies, and we get a lot of questions specifically with 9-gen guys, you know, hey, do you recommend upgrading to such and such? And we really don't, for a number of reasons. Number one, I think one of the highest horsepower cars that we have done, that's right around 800 horsepower on a 9-gen, was on a stock throttle body. So I understand why people want to do it because other ones are bigger, but it's not worth the issues that you can face. So in this particular scenario, I think it might be our best bet, because from what we can see, everything was plug and play. Our best bet is if he has a stock throttle body to put that on there and just see if it goes away. And if it doesn't go away, we can go to the next step. You know, we know it doesn't have a dead battery. Car ran pretty decently. He didn't have, let me flip this around really quickly. He had an aftermarket wideband sensor in the primary spot, so we actually just took that out briefly, installed the primary back in there so K-Tuner can actually get the reading correctly. I wanted to verify that that sensor was working, and if you're new here, well, then you know all about how, well, actually, I'm sorry. If you're new here, then you don't know all about how I prefer to have closed loop enabled on vehicles. So we installed the primary stock O2 sensor, verified that it's reading correctly. K-Tuner's doing its thing just like it should. And since I don't think I updated, but once we took care of the fuel pump, it fired right up. We also did put gas in it if I did not say that. Fired right up. Fuel pressure seems a little bit high, but I don't know specifically on this car where it's at. Let me say this, I'm not concerned as I was when it was reading 20-25 psi and then 30, but then dropping instantly. So that problem with the fuel pump seems to be taken care of. So now we're just going to figure out the drive-by wire issue. We're going to take that clutch master, flip it around, and I'll either update you on that car, or you might not see an update maybe until next week. It just depends. Okay, so we actually have our boost leak tester hooked up, and we see that there's a leak at the gasket. We opted to do this instead of spraying anything to check for leaks because there's stuff that's painted. We don't want to screw any of that up. But I will say in the data log, when it was surging, the throttle plate wasn't actually moving. So at that point, I want to make sure we had no vacuum leaks, and you can clearly see that we do have a leak right off at the throttle body gasket. So as I'm driving right now, wanted to update the customer on that Accord showed up. I felt really bad because he installed the clutch master upside down, but you know, as I told him, you know, mistakes happen, and he doesn't do this every day of his life, so you know, don't be too hard on yourself in that sense. I will add right now too, we have a team member here that is sick. He wants to stay and work. He feels like good enough to stay, so he's kind of like quarantined in a sense. Of course, he has that option to go home and just other stuff. As I'm trying to capture some stuff as a whole, like, you know, behind the scenes, he doesn't feel good, so I told him I would go grab him lunch. He doesn't have to go drive, so I'm going to do that right now. It is lunchtime. I will grab myself something really quick and we'll get back to work. And I don't know, this clip might not even make it in there, but maybe it will. So as I'm pulling out of Culver's, and I had some time to think about that last little video, and also before I forget, because I always do forget, if anybody knows a good phone mount that won't cost me an arm and a leg so you don't have to see that little suction cup. I used to have a phone mount that went on the dash, but it would vibrate so much and shake. It was no good for filming. Anyways, everybody here, I go above and beyond, and I try to make everyone's life easier, which basically means, you know, anybody working here has access to the shop for their personal vehicles. If somebody needs to borrow one of our expensive scanners, they just ask and they can use it. You know, long and the short, he knows today would be a bad day for him to call off sick, and would make things really, really bad with our schedule, so he is here. Now, most likely he won't be here tomorrow. He wasn't planning on getting sick. There was no warning sign. But everybody here goes above and beyond to try to help everybody out. out. So he's here. He knows if he wasn't, it would make everybody's life really harder today. Now I also give everybody a heads up though, hey, such and such is here, but he's sick. Try to help him out as much as you can, make his life easier today. Case in point, I'm going to run and grab him food really quick. It's, you know, not the end of the world. It's going to take a little bit of time out of my day, but, you know, I appreciate what he does for me, and, you know, I keep telling him throughout the day as well. So, but, yeah, anybody got a phone mount? Recommendations, I like to get something a little bit better so you don't have to keep seeing that little suction cup. So if you watched last week's video, or the last video, we had a white Civic. We did the clutch master. It was a K-tune one. Well, he also had another issue we had to look into. He was having a weird noise from like the timing chain area. And, well, look what we found. That's not supposed to be like that. So a tech just came and got me and said, hey, I think you might want to show this on the video. So that should fix that noise he was hearing, and would have been very bad if this would have let go when he was driving. So good capture by the tech, figuring it out, getting the new one on, and being done with it. So I'm a little late to the game here. The engine is almost ready to come out. Getting it set up on the dolly where we want it. I will say too, just if this is, you know, maybe you're getting prepared for an engine swap, it's your first engine swap. It's going to be easy for me to say this because we do so many engine swaps and we've been doing this for so long. A lot of people do get overwhelmed by it. Don't get me wrong. My biggest thing is when I'm teaching new guys, number one, I always teach them to drain the fluids first. You should be able to do an engine swap, and if I'm not here that day, I should be able to come in the next day and not be able to tell that anything was actually done. So as I tell people, drain all the fluids first, have them draining while you're working up here. The engine harness, we see a lot of guys that will start disconnecting stuff from like the injectors and the side of the head. You don't have to do any of that. Just consider the engine separate from the chassis. So, you know, you disconnect the wiring here, you drape it over, you disconnect the wiring over here, you drape it over, and at that point you got the shift linkage, the axles, of course you got the radiator stuff too. He's got the lower hose already disconnected, the upper one not yet, and then the engine mounts too. You know, of course the engine mounts, you got one in the front, usually you have one in the front, sides, both on each side, one in the back, and then you'll have sometimes a torque mount, which you can see the nice little hole down there. There's a nice little hole, the window. So, and then of course just the simple stuff, power steering, you can keep it on the car, AC, we like to keep it like this so you don't have to get it recharged. We can't do this all the time for every single car, but we take that stuff in mind and consideration. And then, like I said, besides that, I believe I said the shift linkage already. You got the battery that should be disconnected, and if you have, you know, the fuse box / starter wire, you can see some cobwebs right there. So this one will be getting pulled or getting dropped, and then since we're going to be reusing this head on his new block, we're going to inspect the head, and I don't know if it's going to be in this video, might be in next video. Forgot my days here, but you should be seeing some of this on Friday. You can go ahead, don't worry about me. And I'm going to get out of his way now so we can drop this engine. So you can see the engine is out. I did tell him if he wanted me to get a cool little video of it, you know, when the car's going up in the air and the engine's staying there. We're busy. Everybody wants to work, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. We are shorthanded now. As I was saying, we had one guy that was here working yesterday but sick. He couldn't make it today, which is fine. I was expecting that. But that also just puts double duties on me more so, running around, trying to take care of his stuff, which I also have, you know, I tell people, hey, if you feel like you might not make it in the next day, being sick, you can't predict sometimes when you get sick, but try to be considerate of other people having to possibly do something that you would have to do. You know, we had a couple people pick up today their cars, but everything is laid out in the front office how it should be. So I try to make everything easy. I try to, you know, it's a team effort here. So this one is out. I'm going to save the head portion most likely for the next video. I can't predict it yet because I don't have everything on I don't know where we're at. Time frame wise, as far as when the video editing goes, I haven't done any of that yet, but I have a feeling this head stuff will be for the next video.